So next exercise, we talk about metaphors, right? Now, I was hoping to sort of play you this small song, this clip, to sort of start off the next exercise, but let's see if it happens.
My heart's a stereo, it beats for you, so listen close. Hear my thoughts in every note.
Can you hear it?
Make me your radio and turn me up when you feel low. This melody was meant for you. So sing along to my stereo.
Class heroes, baby. If I was just another dusty record on the shelf.
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to play that song, other than the fact that for a while it was songs, was also because I wanted to. This is basically the lyrics of the song. So it talks about somebody's heart being a stereo and then explains why the person is singing about heart being a stereo and what he wants out of that declaration. So the exercise that you all are going to do is write a poem of 7 lines. Doesn't have to rhyme, doesn't have to be a particular format. 7 lines only, just like this, my heart's a stereo. But it's going to begin with, my dash is a dash. And the dash is very specific. It is my body part is a object. The poem starts with my body part is an object. So heart is taken. You cannot write about heart anymore. Take another body part. The lesser the body part is written about, the better. And compare it to the object. And then the next 6 lines is about you explaining, justifying why and why you are making that comparison.
Explain metaphor, talk about it, how it's essentially saying one thing is something else, or at least has the qualities of something else to make it stand out, seem more unusual or interesting, or to kind of engage the reader in some kind of way. And so we're going to decide, we're going to look at our own bodies and we're going to try and apply these metaphors to our own bodies whilst trying to make sure that we don't say anything that means someone else puts their hand up to say they've said something that's the same. So let's start off. Let's start off with my arm. My arm is a what? What could you say the arm is that no one else in this room would think of? And give them 30 seconds to come up with their answer. As they're doing that, pop around, have a little look, get them to read them out, discuss what makes a more effective metaphor. Maybe someone said something that's particularly interesting or powerful. Talk about that. Like, get people really celebrate what's really diverse and interesting. You'll find they've got really cool, unusual ideas. Once you've done arm, I tend to go on to can either go for fingers, you can go for legs, can be quite nice. And by now you could even bring in a second sentence if you like. Have a total, you know, a bonus task of saying if you can come up with a second sentence, then brilliant. Like, that's really, really cool. Try and add something onto it. So you can say, my hand is a tree blowing in the breeze. It makes me feel alive when I walk past it, which would be pretty weird, but actually that's not bad. Yeah, see what people can come up with, okay? Once you have finished that, I would move on after the legs, arms, fingers, move on to something that's a bit more interesting, maybe the eyes. What are the eyes? And by now you can set up your own traps. You can say you're going to write down a couple of things that you think people are going to come up with, and you're going to like trick them because they're really obvious, all right? I would go for anything to do with laser beams for eyes. I would say my eyes are lasers, cut that straight out, point out that that is not going to be creative enough. And then once you've done eyes, the brain. My brain is a what? What can we say a brain is that no one else would ever think to say it is? That's really cool. My favourite one though is then when you go, my heart is what? You can also do lungs as well. You can do, you know, my smile is, you can do my teeth are, you can essentially work with any parts of the body. Once you've done this and worked through this, why not put a series of body parts up on the board and get them to use those to write their own metaphor-based.
Metaphors are a specific type of figurative language called imagery. Metaphors are words or phrases that compare two things. Unlike a simile, they do not use the words like or as to compare the words. Instead, they state that one thing is another thing. Like in the quote from Shakespeare, "The world is a stage." Metaphors are used in literature, movies, plays, and even in day-to-day speech. You might even find yourself using metaphors without realizing it. Some commonly used metaphors include, love is a battlefield, there's a blanket of clouds, time is a thief, he's a night owl. All these examples compare two things directly. Love is compared to a battle, clouds are compared to blankets, time is compared to a thief, and man is compared to an owl. Of course, we know that a man is not literally an owl, but the comparison helps us to visualize things in a much more vibrant way. How boring would it be to say he likes to stay up late at night on a consistent basis? Other types of metaphors use indirect comparisons. A couple of examples include, work has dried up. Their ideas are difficult to swallow. In these metaphors, you have two steps in the comparison. In the first example, work is not being compared to dried up, but rather to something that can be dried up. You can use your imagination to fill in the comparison. Maybe an empty swimming pool or a dry desert oasis. Similarly, ideas are not being swallowed. Ideas are being compared to something that you eat that is hard to swallow. Maybe a dry cracker or a peanut butter sandwich. This type of indirect comparison allows someone to fill in an image with personal experiences. In the poem The Tiger by William Blake, he expounds on the beauty and danger of the wild tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? The first line of the poem says the tiger is burning bright. Of course, the tiger is not literally on fire, but this comparison is used as a metaphor to illustrate the tiger's bright color and even the tiger's dangerous nature.